Hello, everyone. My name is Cristy T. Jones, and I have the pleasure of serving as Miss Fulton County 2022. And as a part of my platform, Ready, Set, Go, Career Awareness and Preparedness, I'll be interviewing female entrepreneurs and business leaders across the state of Georgia as a part of my platform. So I am so excited and eager to interview my colleague, my 21st century leader, fellow alumna, Lauren Flanigan, who is the senior brand manager of OREO cookies. So, Lauren, how are you feeling today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me, Cristy. It's great to be here. Really excited to just talk careers and all things brand management and excited for just what we have to come today.
Yes, I'm so excited to speak with you. So, Lauren, could you tell me a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to pursue a career in marketing?
Yeah, so a little bit about myself. So I'm Lauren Flanigan. I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, proud alum of 21st Century Leaders, as Cristy has mentioned. And we served together on the junior board there, which has been great to just get to know Cristy better through that as well. But yeah, born and raised in Atlanta, went to school in Philly. So went to the University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton School of Business. During my time there, I got my degree in economics and concentrated in marketing and strategic management. And it was kind of the first place that I really started to think about what I wanted my career in marketing to look like. And I can go into a little bit more details on that later. After graduating from Penn, I went on to start at Mondelez, my career in brand management. I've been there for about 7 years. Always on the brand side, working on a number of brands from Sour Patch Kids to Trident and Gum, Belvita breakfast biscuits, and most recently Oreo cookies. So I have been senior brand manager of Oreo cookies for some time, and actually I'm just starting to transition into a new role where I'll be leading our direct to consumer business for Oreo and Sour Patch Kids. So that's a little bit about me.
So, Lauren, jokingly, do you have a sweet tooth, or is there a reason why you do grab or you were assigned like sweeter brands?
Sweets are 100% my weakness. It can be a problem, but I try to balance it, try to have, some balance, manage it as I can, but it's definitely my weakness.
Well, you're in the right industry, definitely. I know they probably send you free things all the time, so I'll be so tempted.
I mean, it's not easy. You're talking about cookies all day long. Eventually, you're going to want to eat some. So,
That's right. So, what types of skills and certifications do you need to pursue a career in brand management and marketing?
yeah, so I think brand management is a really unique space within marketing because it's marketing, but it's really business fundamentals more than anything, or maybe kind of a balance between the two. So with brand management, I guess the best way you can describe it is it's like being the CEO of a brand. And so you're making a variety of decisions that impact the brand. So it could be anything from like which new products or which new flavors should we launch? How do we want to grow this brand? What will it take to grow the brand? Is it a new marketing campaign? Is it additional spend? Like spending more than you have been in the past on marketing? Is it partnering with a new spokesperson? Is it expanding your distribution? So it's really thinking holistically about essentially how do you make the brand the best that it can be? How do you grow it? And how do you leave it better than when you first joined that team? So brand management is a bit spread across a couple of different skill sets. I think generally the things that tend to work well for people in the field are having a strategic point of view and being able to have like a good handle on analysis and kind of like the financials and how that can impact the brand, but then really pairing that with the other side of the brain and having a lot of creativity, and really being able to like come up with new ideas and come up with potential leads for campaigns. So it's the balance of strategy and creativity.
Awesome. So, I had a question about the process of getting input. So, do you all use consumer marketing when like you do you reach out to different consumers to see what who they would like as a spokesperson or like how to introduce new flavors? Like what is the process of that?
Oh yeah, that one is really fun. And if you're interested in, if you're like kind of a curious person, really inquisitive, you just naturally kind of want to know what makes things tick, that is a great part within marketing that you should look into as well. So research is a huge part of what we do, just because you do want to have a handle on how people are going to think or feel about, to your point, Cristy, like a new spokesperson or a new flavor. So we typically approach things and we call it like quant and qual. And so qual is something like a focus group, for example, where it's kind of like, I don't know if anyone watches Mad Men, but if you have people kind of sitting around a table, maybe they're trying a new product and they're kind of giving you feedback live. So it's like a small group of like live humans kind of giving feedback. That's one way that research is done. And you can ask anything in those groups from how do you like this new flavor to what would you think if we worked with this person? So that's one approach. Another approach within that research is something like quant. So those could be like those bigger research studies that are done, at scale of like thousands of people and are asking bigger questions, and are something that is typically used for really big decision making. If you need a lot of kind of like samples and you need a big data set, that's typically where you would go. So it's a great question. And it's another really key part in brand management and marketing in general. And is another component of, if you're interested in a career in this space, it's something you could look into.
I would definitely look into that because, like, when you mentioned quantitative and qualitative research, like, as a PhD student, that's all that we do. So I didn't even know those skills could be transferable in an industry like Mondelez or Oreo cookies. That's very interesting. So we talked a little bit about getting into this space. What would you say is the most rewarding part of your job, Lauren?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the most rewarding part is being able to see something through from idea to launch. Like I think it's really rewarding if you're launching a new product or new flavor, for example, and you see it on shelf and you see people talking about it on social, and you know that were the person who came up with that idea, or you're the person that launched it. Like that's really rewarding. But I think beyond that, I think the thing that's most rewarding for me is being able to tell a story and to start conversations. So I actually think marketers in general have a responsibility to tell stories that represent people well, or tell stories that may not otherwise be told. And it may seem like, just a 30-second commercial, but you really can have impact. And I think one thing that was really exciting for me to work on this past year was Oreo's holiday campaign. And we actually featured a Black Santa, which was really just awesome and really exciting to see a lot of the feedback that we got there, and just to see people feeling excited that there is, more inclusive representation of even Santa at the holidays, and being able to reflect stories and reflect characters that reflect just broader society, I think is really rewarding. And just thinking about the way you can leverage storytelling to just move things forward in society in general.
That's so awesome. And I'm sure it's so rewarding to just see your ideas come to life, and especially like you being so young. Like I wanted to ask a follow-up question. What is something that keeps you going or keeps you motivated just being so young in the industry? I know being a woman is hard a lot of times to get your voice heard at the table, especially as a Black woman. So what are some tips that you have for getting your voice heard at the table?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't have the most straightforward answer. I can tell you what I think has worked for me. And I think that it's having a point of view and feeling confident in it and being able to voice it. And I think that's probably the most understated thing, where if you're talking about career progression, it's really all about just having a point of view that you feel strongly about, and that is based in some sort of fact, or that is based in some sort of logic. So I think just coming prepared to any situation with having thought through what your perspective is on something, how you would approach a problem, how you would improve something, or just being confident enough to voice an idea that you might have really does go a long way. And just kind of having that seat at the table and feeling confident once you do have it. I also think sponsorship and mentors has really helped me a lot as well. And just being able to reach out to people and ask their opinions, or even, seed an idea with them and ask if they would help support my idea if I plan to bring it up in a meeting. I think those things really, really help as well. So just having a point of view and trying to be confident and prepared when you do have those moments where you have the seat at the table.
Absolutely. So you spoke about some of the challenges of being a young woman leader in this industry. Are there any additional challenges that particularly pertain to your job?
Yeah, I think it's similar to any space when you are an underrepresented person, whether that be being female or being a person of color, being a Black woman. I think naturally that comes with, sometimes they're just assumptions that are made about you in one way or another. And sometimes they aren't positive. I'll be honest about that as well. And I think that can be anything from people not expecting you to be, the one that's leading things or one that's leading the conversation, whereas they're expecting you to be in a different role where you're not a decision maker. And so managing those relationships, making sure that people, are respectful of your position, but they are also building the relationship so that people can maybe see beyond their bias, I think is important. I think other things that I have run into are there's always just kind of the thought or the expectation that you are able to do more than just your role. So there's sometimes the expectation that, you're the representative for all Black people or all women or whatever group you may represent. And I think that that can be an advantage or a disadvantage at times. Like I think the advantage is you are able to bring a voice to a conversation where other people, aren't represented. So you do have the ability to speak up for others, but it's also, managing for yourself that you don't have to carry the whole burden of an entire group. And that, managing the expectation for others that I'm one member of this group where, a multifaceted group of people and I just represent one of, many. So I think it's, just being able to like manage those conversations, manage what bias may be present, and being confident enough in yourself to realize that, you're still valid, you still have a valuable skill set, you're valuable for who you are, and bringing a different perspective from an underrepresented group is also valuable, and to just see those as advantages in yourself, even when sometimes people may see them as your disadvantage.
Wow, you spoke so many gems. I'm taking notes. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, just with your experience and how you've transcended really the industry and been able to reach success so quickly, what is a tip for someone you have trying to enter the brand management marketing space? What are some tips to enter the industry that you have?
Yeah, another great question. I would say just generally like have a pulse on what's going on in culture. I think that helps a lot. So like keeping your pulse on what's going on with social media. So if you're, not on TikTok, get on TikTok, even if you're not using it every day, like know what's going on in that space. And just, be present. I think go out, live, have experiences, keep up with what's happening in culture, whether it's TV or reading, or just have a good pulse of what's going on, I think is key. And then I would definitely say you just continue to refine those business fundamentals as well. And there's a lot of great resources online that are free where you can look up, different like formulas, or you can look up acronyms, things that are typically used in like a brand management field. You can definitely find those resources online and start to learn some of those skills there. And I would say just read, educate yourself. I think Adweek or Ad Age, those sort of publications that talk about what good is in this sort of space is also just helpful to like have inspiration and have a good understanding of what can work well for different types of brands. I would just say be present, have good lived experiences, stay on top of what do the homework, go out, learn the acronyms, learn, what metrics are important in this space, and then learn from others by reading publications like an Adweek or an Ad Age, and just have a good understanding what other brands are doing and what's working well in the industry.
If there was something that you could tell your younger self, what would that be?
I love that question. I think I would tell myself to not be so obsessed with perfection and don't feel the need to be perfect in all things, but just really lean into the things you're naturally good at or the things you're gravitating toward. I think, we so often want to feel like, you want to be great at everything across the board, and that's great, but it's also really beneficial for your health and also just for your skill set to focus in on where you see yourself shining and be okay with that. So I think that's what I would tell my younger self, is that not everything has to be perfect. I don't have to be an expert in everything, but find the things that I am naturally doing well at and that naturally interest me, and just continue to lean into that space.
Absolutely. I think that's excellent advice. As a fellow perfectionist, it's very, I'm telling myself that now because there's so much going on, and it's sometimes it's like, oh, I want to, make an A in every class, and I want to be able to do this and that. And even though those things are important and they add some value, like your mental health is so much more important and your stability. So that's a great segue into our next question. So, As you know, my platform, Ready, Set, Go, Career Awareness and Preparedness, focuses a lot on mental well being in the workplace. How do you practice self care and promote mental well being in your profession? And also, what are some tips you have for young adults age 17 to 26 on finding a company that values their mental well being?
I think that is probably the best question of the day, just because it does matter so much. And you have, one life to live. Work is so important, career is so important. I'm a super ambitious person. There's a lot I want to achieve in this life. But at the end of the day, if I'm not happy and I'm not healthy, then it's not worth it. And so I think, you really can't put too much importance on making sure that you are whole in that way. I'm just going to be real about it. I think some companies do care. I think some companies don't make it as much of a priority. And I think, you really have to take the onus back onto yourself and make sure that you are putting yourself first. And, if there is something that you feel is unhealthy or, if it's a toxic environment, I would definitely say try to find the avenues of support within your organization to help bring that awareness to leadership or to HR, but also just take care of yourself first. I think it's really important to take breaks throughout work. I think that's one of the benefits that we have now in this more remote or work from home friendly sort of world that we're living in a work sense, is that you should take those breaks. If you need to take a walk after a meeting, you should do that. Make sure that you take, a few minutes throughout the day, even if it's just 10 minutes away from your laptop to just have some lunch, you should do that. So I would just say in general, prioritize yourself. It's great when companies do it, but not all of them do. So don't depend on the company to do it. Make sure you give yourself that permission to own that for yourself. And then I would just say outside of that, like set hobbies, things that are important to you or fun to do outside of work. I personally love a scheduled fitness class because it happens at a set time, which means I have to get up and go to it. So I think, having things that are planned and you are committed to doing really help with making sure that you're taking those breaks and doing things just for yourself as well.
Absolutely. So much knowledge and wisdom that you share with us today. So, my last question are there any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience before we move to the question and answer portion? If Amber has any questions.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say that things work out. I would say, just continue to learn yourself. I think that's so important. Learn yourself, expose yourself to a number of different career paths and interests, and you're going to find, that thing that works for you, that sticks, that you're interested in, that you're good at. And I would say that once you lean into the things you're interested in and you're good at, it really helps so much from there. Like you're able to really excel a lot faster at things that you're feeling good in. So I would just say continue to learn yourself. Don't put so much pressure on yourself to find the exact right thing. It's a journey. Careers change and evolve as you go along, and just do your research, talk to people, and you'll find the right thing for you.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for joining us today and just being such a light. I'm so happy that I had this opportunity to just learn more about what you're doing at OREO and just what you're just doing as a young woman making it out here in the industry. So I just want to know if you mind sharing your LinkedIn or any ways like people can follow your campaigns or anything.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Definitely feel free to look me up on LinkedIn. You can search me by name. It's just Lauren Flanigan. And that's spelled Lauren. And then Flanigan is Flanigan. I'm sure it'll be, in the description of this video or something like that at some point, but definitely feel free to reach out. I'm super open to coffee chats, or if there's more questions, feel free to reach out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And do we have any questions from the audience?
I just have to say that was so amazing, and I loved hearing everything you had to share so eloquently. And I guess my question would be, what is your proudest accomplishment in your time at Mondelez?
That's a great question. Thank you for that, Amber. I would say I would kind of break it down into a professional accomplishment and then maybe a more purpose driven accomplishment. So I would say that in terms of work, there's always a few campaigns or, items that stand out that you're always proud of. And I think there's two that come to mind for me. And I think during my time on Oreo, it's a couple of things. Actually, I think it's one, the Lady Gaga campaign and just seeing the success of that. It's actually Oreo's most talked about ever campaign. So being able to do that and really just experience what it's like to run a campaign at that scale and to see the outcome of that, I think was just a really rewarding experience. I would also say working on campaigns, like I mentioned, the holiday campaign where we were able to feature Black Santa was definitely really personally rewarding, as well as being able to work on the Olympics campaign and just the size and scale and being able to think about all the people that would see that work. I think those are the three things that I'm really proud of in that space. And then I think the other thing I would say is being able to launch our seasonal business was a really big accomplishment as well. And I actually was a big part of identifying that opportunity and took that from what was just an idea to now hundreds of millions of dollars on its own, just as its own business now. So that's what I would say professionally. Those are kind of the couple things. And then more purpose driven within my career at Mondelez is I have a lot of passion for DEI and making sure that people are better represented, at least at an at population level. And so I've led our African Ancestry Council, and through that work have been able to really influence a lot of the conversation at the organization in terms of rethinking some of our recruiting strategies. So recruiting at HBCUs, for example, or thinking about how we retain Black talent and just more broadly, like people of color or underrepresented groups, has been something really rewarding. And I was actually awarded the Leader of the Year last year because of that work. So I would say that is a more purpose-driven accomplishment. But yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for asking that, Amber.
So I have to ask, I wanted to ask you this. Did you get a chance to meet Lady Gaga?
Only over video, thanks to COVID. So in any other circumstance, that would have been a part of the campaign, but at least, over video is still cool enough.
Yeah, I'm sure she was such a blast to meet.
Absolutely amazing.
Yes. So again, thank you so much, Amber. Did you have any other questions?
Nope, I have to go and my internet connection saying unstable, but this was great. Thank y'all for having me. Have a good day.
You
Thank
too.
you, Amber.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I'm gonna pause it.